There's a crucial skill that can save you from countless disappointments, manipulations, and toxic relationships: the ability to see through confident facades, to identify the deep insecurities lurking underneath. Some of the most dangerous people you'll encounter are those who project supreme confidence while harboring profound self-doubt. They overcompensate for their insecurities through aggression, manipulation, or grandiose behavior that can fool most observers but becomes transparent. When you know what to look for. Today, we're going to explore the psychology behind confident masks. Why insecure people often appear more confident than genuinely secure individuals, and how to develop X-ray vision for spotting the telltale signs that reveal when someone's confidence is performance rather than authentic. Self-assurance. The psychology of overcompensation. Any confident people don't need to prove their confidence to others because their self-assurance comes from internal security rather than external validation. They're comfortable with their strengths and limitations, which creates a relaxed, natural confidence that doesn't require constant demonstration. Insecure people, however, live in constant fear that others will discover their perceived inadequacies. This fear drives them to overcompensate through exaggerated displays of confidence, competence, or superiority designed to hide their true feelings about themselves. The overcompensation typically manifests as behavior that's slightly too intense, too perfect, or too consistent to be natural. Genuine confidence has moments of doubt, uncertainty, and vulnerability because secure people are comfortable being human. Performed confidence maintains an artificial perfection that real confidence doesn't require. Understanding this dynamic helps you distinguish between people who are confident because they're secure versus those who appear confident because they're terrified of appearing insecure. The tales of performed confident sign-seeker people behind confident masks display several consistent behavioral patterns that reveal their true psychological state. First, they become defensive disproportionately quickly when questioned or challenged, even about minor points. Genuinely confident people can handle questions and disagreements without becoming reactive, because they're not constantly protecting a fragile self-image. Insecure people interpret any questioning as an attack on their carefully maintained facade. Second, they consistently need to be the smartest, strongest, or most accomplished person in any group. Secure people are comfortable with others' expertise and success because it doesn't threaten their own worth. Third, they cannot admit mistakes, show vulnerability, or acknowledge areas where they lack knowledge. Genuine confidence allows for human limitations, while performed confidence requires maintaining an image of perfection. Fourth, they often dominate conversations to maintain control over how they're perceived, rarely asking genuine questions about others because they're too focused on managing their own image. The aggression cover-up many insecure people use. Aggression as a confidence mask because aggressive behavior often intimidates others into backing down, which the insecure person interprets as respect or fear that validates their power. This aggression might be overt hostility, passive-aggressive manipulation, or competitive behavior that turns every interaction into a contest they must win to maintain their self-image. Genuinely confident people don't need to win every interaction or dominate every social situation because their worth isn't dependent on others' submission or acknowledgement of their superiority. Watch for people who cannot handle being wrong, losing games, or being outdone by others in any way. This intolerance for anything that might threaten their image reveals the insecurity beneath their aggressive confidence. The name-dropping and status signaling. People often rely heavily on external status, symbols and associations to prop up their confidence. Because they lack internal sources of self-worth, this might involve excessive name-dropping of important people they've met, constant references to their achievements or possessions, or attempts to associate themselves with high-status individuals or organizations. Genuinely confident people mention their accomplishments when relevant, but don't need to constantly remind others of their success, because their confidence doesn't depend on others' recognition of their achievements. Pay attention to how often someone brings up their credentials, connections, or accomplishments in casual conversation. Frequent status signaling usually indicates someone who needs external validation to feel worthy. The perfectionism trap. Many insecure people hide behind perfectionism because they believe that if they can avoid all mistakes and criticisms, they can maintain their confident image and avoid the shame they fear. This perfectionism creates rigid, controlling behavior as they try to manage every detail of how they're perceived. They often become critical of others as a way to deflect attention from their own feared inadequacies. Genuine confidence allows for mistakes and imperfections because secure people understand that human worth isn't dependent on flawless performance. Watch for people who become disproportionately upset by minor mistakes, who cannot laugh at themselves, or who seem to need everything to be perfect to feel okay about themselves. Reading body language and micro-expressions. While insecure people can often control their words and major behaviors, their body language and micro-expressions frequently reveal their true emotional state. Look for tension that doesn't match their confident words, forced or exaggerated facial expressions that seem performed rather than natural, and nervous habits that emerge when they're challenged or uncertain. Genuinely confident people have relaxed, natural body language that matches their words. Their expressions appear spontaneous and authentic rather than carefully managed. Pay attention to what happens to their confidence when they're surprised, tired, or stressed. Performed confidence often cracks under pressure, while genuine confidence remains relatively stable across different situations. The relationship patterns. Insecure people with confident masks often have distinctive relationship patterns that reveal their true psychological state. They frequently surround themselves with people who validate their superiority rather than challenge them to grow. They may be attracted to obviously insecure partners who won't threaten their image, or they might seek relationships with high-status individuals purely for the external validation. These associations provide. In conflicts, they often use manipulation, guilt, or aggression rather than honest communication, because they cannot risk the vulnerability that authentic conflict resolution requires. Watch how they treat people who cannot benefit them versus those who can enhance their status. This differential treatment reveals whether their confidence is genuine or dependent on others' validation, professional contexts in workplace settings. Insecure people with confident masks often create toxic environments because they cannot handle being questioned, corrected, or outdone by subordinates or peers. They may take credit for others' work, blame others for their mistakes, or create competitive rather than collaborative team dynamics because they view others' success as threats to their own image. Genuinely confident leaders can celebrate others' achievements, admit their own mistakes, and create environments where everyone can succeed without threatening their own sense of worth. Look for patterns of how they handle feedback, whether they can mentor others without feeling threatened, and how they respond when team members excel or receive recognition. The social media test. Social media behavior often reveals the difference between genuine and performed confidence. Insecure people typically use social platforms primarily for validation seeking. Through constant posting about their achievements, appearance, or lifestyle, they may become upset when posts don't receive expected engagement or when others receive more attention than they do. Their online persona often seems slightly exaggerated compared to their real-life presence. Genuinely confident people use social media more casually and are less dependent on likes, comments, or shares for their emotional well-being. Building your detection skills. Developing the ability to spot insecurity behind confident masks requires observing people over time rather than making judgments based on first impressions. Look for patterns in their behavior across different situations and with different people. Notice how they handle stress, criticism, and situations where they're not the center of attention. Pay attention to the energy you feel around them. Performed confidence often creates subtle tension or discomfort because you're sensing the disconnect between their words and their true emotional state. Most importantly, trust your instincts when something feels off about someone's confidence. Even if you can't immediately articulate what's wrong, the protection this knowledge provides learning to spot insecurity behind confident masks protects you from manipulation by people who use false confidence to control others, helps you avoid toxic relationships with individuals whose insecurity drives destructive behavior, and allows you to invest your time and trust in genuinely secure people who can build healthy relationships. This skill also helps you recognize your own moments of performed confidence, allowing you to work on developing more authentic self-assurance rather than exhausting yourself with constant image management. The ultimate truth. Master the art of seeing through confident facades, and you'll discover that true confidence is quieter, more relaxed, and more genuine than the loud, perfect performances that insecure people present to the world. You'll waste less time on relationships with people whose insecurity makes them incapable of authentic connection, and you'll be naturally drawn to those whose genuine confidence creates the foundation for meaningful, lasting relationships.